Hi everyone. So in this session, we are going to see all the Salesforce releases with respect to certain products, be it admin, development, and in terms of the business. So agenda for this meeting is going to be, we are looking at the features for all these products. So these features, I think we'll have two major features has been added for this presentation for the time being. But there are many features in the respective products, but which has the high impact, I have just added it in this presentation. So we can first begin with the Salesforce flow, as we'll be using the development and even the admin side most of the time. The features of the flow includes like we can access new versions within the flow builder itself. So earlier we'll have to go to the flow, setup flows, and then the drop down we'll have to see the version and history. So which was actually taking more clicks for the developers or the admins to view what exactly there in that version. So now from any version we can directly access the previous version. So right from this drop down, and then we can reference these versions. We can directly access from this flow builder the previous version. So next release that we have is like users can actually send, sorry, not the users, the flow builder, like, so they can actually send in attachment for the emails through this attachment ID. We just have to comma separated attachment IDs here or place the value. So this feature is a new inclusion. So right from the flow, we can actually attach the files, but we need to check on the limitations, how many files of what size can be added here. So while getting the records, so this get records element. So now there's a feature like previously there was no limit as in we have in SOQL. So in SOQL, we can actually limit how many records need to be retrieved. So if we don't specify the limit, in case the org has more than 50 records, it will, return the exception. So same goes for the flow as well. If the org has more than 50,000 records and if the flow is fetching all of the records at once, that causes the exception. So to resolve this, now the Salesforce has released another feature like we can actually limit this record that has been retrieved to maximum of 2000 records here. So all records up to a specified limit we can add. So right now we were using only all records or only the first record. Another major feature that I noticed is the Einstein is actually coming from the flows. So where we can actually reduce time in building the flows just with the prompt. So how that works is, so I have this org where the Einstein is enabled. I couldn't get any developer org to explore on this. So this is actually obtained from the partner development org. So we actually need an add-on even in the client org as well. If the Einstein is enabled, then we'll be having option to explore on this one. So the way it works is that let's say I go and create a new flow. So previously I had only two options to create the flow. One is start from the start or use a template. Now there's another option, let Einstein help you build. So with this option, I can give the prompt for maybe the business use case, how it gets started, right? Or even I can give from the existing prompts as well. So if like regularly using our use cases may be appearing here, but this is not sure whether this is customizable or not. But with this release, this is fixed actually. So I'll just select one of the given prompt here, which I can also populate with the way business use case is provided. So I'll just create the flow for this. So the Einstein will take some time for creating this flow. Once the flow is created, we can have a look. But since it is generated from the AI, it's always recommended to have a look at once all the each step. It's not maybe it just reduces the time in initiating the flow, adding the elements, key elements. Okay, but on the logic side, it's always recommended we always go ahead and see each of the key elements there. So by the time it takes time to create. We'll also see on the Einstein. So we also have the summaries to draft. So Einstein will draft the summary for each flow. Let's say the flow that we are building, most of the time we don't give proper description what exactly we are doing in the flow. Maybe even for the versioning as well, we often don't give what exactly being changed in that. So Einstein will help drafting what exactly that flow is doing. And then we as a developer or admin can copy that and add it in the description. It won't automatically update the description, but it gives us the context, what exactly that flow is doing. And we also have another feature where we can generate the formulas to the prompt again. So the way we generate the flow, we also have the formulas to generate within the flow. So now that the flow is actually created, we have the key elements added by this. So let's see what is the summary of this flow doing here. So this is the prompt that was given. Create flow. Create a flow that runs every Wednesday at 10 a.m. The flow finds all opportunities that were created within last 14 days and update the opportunity next. Okay, so this field should be updated and assign it to assign executive sponsor. So that it has summarized the same thing. Let's see on the steps how it has actually implemented it. It is scheduled Wednesday at 10 a.m. and it will be running weekly. So object data selected opportunity and in the update element. So whichever that triggered this flow, so it has considered that record, and the next step it is actually updating it. So this is a pretty simple prompt, I can say. So it has successfully implemented, but we can try up with more complex or even medium level complex how it behaves. If it gives more user friendly or even the best solution for us, it is actually good, so that we can take it forward wherever the missing elements are there. So the summary we have seen, and for the formula, so here I have the option to generate the prompt here. Let me just take one of the prompt. So I'm asking for a date that is 3 months before after the created date. Okay, so I'll just click on create, and then it has given this formula. So it has taken right method here, add months, and then record created date. It is adding the three days for it. So if you check the syntax, so formula expression is invalid, formula result type, data type is data type. Okay, so let me just select the date and time. It was a valid one. So pretty basic prompt has given the right result here, so which we can directly use it in the flows. Moving on, we have new application in Salesforce to create the flows for the admins. So right now admins has to go to setup, they'll have to click on flow, and there will be options that is provided. So that is also user friendly. So this new flow, when we click on new flow here, so if we are starting from the scratch, so I'll be getting with all the options that will be available here. So seems more technical if the admin is not aware or don't have the knowledge, seems little technical here. But compared to this new application where they can create the flow, this is an automation application. So the flow builder will remain same. Only the way that we select the type of flow that we create, only that user experience is different here. So it's clearly given like what exactly they need to be selecting, and they will be beginning from that. So this is one of the options. We also have other features in the same app. So all the flows directly can be viewed here itself, their status, and then which are in drafted, active, everything can be viewed here itself. So this is kind of enhanced view, sort of going to the setup, can be accessed within the Lighting app. So there's also a monitor tab. We can monitor actually the failed ones and which are the versions that is failing, and the success ones can go and easily monitor through this tab. So there are a couple of enhancements in the screen flows as well. So there's also another option which is called orchestration, which I'll be showing in a minute. So there's also enhancements on the screen flows. So basically, if there is an input parameter in the screen flows, so the way that is working now is that user has to first give the value, and then when they click on next, it will be validated whether the value added is correct or not. Okay, so but with this change, so right when the user is typing the value here, the validation occurs parallelly. So it happens immediately there. So, but there's also drawback here. Let's say, as in when I type the keyframe, there's no buffer here. So as in when I type the keyframe, even though the complete word is not completed, the error will be shown, which is not that user friendly, but still it reduces the click, like user has to click on next and see the error what exactly is coming. So that is a good add-on. So same in the screen flow, user can also see where exactly they are in when they are in the screen flow, right? So these are the stages now present in the flows. So when they're filling the information on the account tab, they can actually view. And once they click on next, we don't know exactly what is the next screen or the previous screen happened, like the current in the current design. So with this enhancement, user can actually view where exactly in which path, in which step they are in. So let's now see the orchestration here. Let's say the tab I just mentioned. So right now we have one orchestration here. So basically this orchestration that what is given here is that it's a kind of tool that lets admin create automated businesses, right? So without writing any code. So like it combines the data and operations into a single flow. So let me just pull up some use cases for this one. So there is a 2 steps in the orchestration. Sorry, there's 3 steps. So one is first one is the steps where admin will define which flows to run, who is assigned to the step, and what notification to be sent. Okay. So based on that, we have one use case like assigning a step to the multiple users. So this is something like the flow builder for the orchestration. And then there's another step called stages where user admin will group steps together and run them in a sequence. Okay. So let's say there are a couple of flows like the sub flows. They will be figuring out which one will be exhibited first. So this will be a more user friendly side, like they can actually view a bunch of subflows directly within the flow itself, which is right now already there. Like we can actually tag it, but this is more user friendly side, enhanced one. So next on to the customization, we have a couple of features here. So for the list views, we have enhanced list views in the roles. So list views has been updated in permission sets, roles, and even in the record types. So for better user experience. So currently we have this tree view and a sorted list view, and then the list view. So this is the default list view, which I think this is more user friendly, but we also have this enhanced one, which needs to be enabled for user management settings. So enhanced role list view. So since it is moved to a different page, so it's like normal record list view, it will be appearing here. But I don't see this is more user friendly for the admins or users who is actually accessing this one. The tree view or maybe the default list view was more user friendly, but we'll have to figure out a use case where it can be applied efficiently. And we also have permission set list view here. So this is the enhanced one. So just the list view has been changed. Inside that list, everything remains same as a previous the classic one. But one key detail that we see here is that we have view summary tab now. So with this view summary tab, we can actually see where this permission set has been added to, like different set of groups where it is added, and what exactly the permissions that has been given to the user through this permission sets, right? And then we can actually easily remove these permissions right from here. So let's say if we want to add this permission set to different groups, we'll have to go to individual group, add it from there, each permission set, right? So now the permission set can be added to multiple groups at once from here. So right now there's no permission set, but we can be easily added from here. Also on the user list view. Okay, so this is the old one. Let me just enable it. So this would also remain same, like instead, like previously all the users were coming in, and previous also we had the list views, like we can select active users or different filters we will actually giving. But this seems more convenient for us to use here. So we can actually easily filter out just like the way we filter out the records. The list view is working in the same way. So one thing that Salesforce is claiming with this list view enhancement is that all of these list views are now built on the LWC component. So previously it was in Aura, and now it is added to the LWC, which is actually improving the performance, it seems. So we'll have to see, like it depends on the org side. Like if we have the more data when you're actually loading the list views, it will actually take in time. So it's good, like if the transition from Aura to LWC actually promotes the productivity or the efficiency. That's actually good. We also have another feature, sort list views by multiple columns. I think this is not enabled in this, or let me just quickly enable it. So let's go to user interface. So this is the option we need to enable sort by multiple columns. So this is still in a beta version. Okay, so let's refresh this page. Give me a minute. So this is another one which I previously worked on. Okay, so here we can see the option to sort. So sort by multiple columns. So this was not available previously. So the way it does is that we can actually sort. So the use case for this is that let's say we have to see all the opportunities deals that was sorted by the stages, each stage, and we also need to see highest deals first, right? So for this use case, this was actually helpful. First we'll be sorting with the stage and then with the amount in the descending order. Okay, let me see close one first. Okay, so now I sorted this stage as well. So I can see the biggest deal one on the is the 915K. So this opportunity, I can also, so these fields are actually limited. We need to check on this, how it will be handled, but these are limited. But use cases are, so we can add up to 5 sort columns, and there are multiple use cases where we can achieve this one. So this is really helpful, kind of grouping by in the reports. So next on, we also have this multiple sorting within the related list as well. So if I just go for the account, for all the opportunities. So here also the option is available to sort with multiple columns. So now that these permissions also have got a good look, so we can actually include the permission sets, I think. Okay, so this I discussed previously, we can actually include the permission set to the group with the view summary tab. So this we can do, and then remove user and custom permissions in the permission set summaries. So I think this also we discussed. This is something new. So let's say if the admin has to, for a certain profile, if admin has to go and provide permissions to each of the field, it will be difficult. There will be editor profile and click on each field to provide the access. So now we have a new feature here, view all fields. Okay, so what it does is that it will select all the fields at once. So right now, I think we already using an extension to achieve this, but Salesforce brought this as a feature now. So this is the one. So right now we are using this extension, which actually does the same thing, removes all the permissions, provides access, and the same thing it is also doing. So this is helpful. People who are not doing using this extension, because it is actually a time-consuming one when you're assigning the permission to each field. And then we also have one more update here for the profiles and permission sets. So the modify all and then view all naming has been changed to view all records, modify all records. So this is to just align with like exact meaning of what they actually do. So this makes more sense now. So we also have increased limit for the custom fields for activities. So it has been now increased to 300 fields in the activities. So currently previously it was 100. So now it is 3x. So this is the good. I think this one we already discussed, list view with multiple column sort. So another thing that is been newly introduced is the transition, the current SLDS version, Lightning Design System current version to a new version, right? So let's see how does it look first. So right now the orgs without the SLDS enabled. This is the UI that here. The theme and branding, it's actually customizable for us, which is now also it is customizable, but in SLDS it was actually limited. So now with the SLDS 2, the view has been completely changed. So though the functionality remains same, only the view changed. So Salesforce claims that this actually improves user experience so that they will know what exactly need to be done when they're viewing the screen, right? And also another update they have provided is that based on the future enhancements like the Agent Force, AI implementation, Einstein, for all this new UX that is coming up, this SLDS 2 will be more compatible. So right now, every org is having SLDS 1 only. We need to manually transition it. So let's also have a look at like what are the transition terms that we need to take in the developer section. But now for now, this is the UI that looks plain and neat. Let's discuss this also in the development section. Okay, so on the development side, speaking about the Apex enhancements, so now we have a feature by out of the box to compress and extract the files, zip files in Apex. So right now there are actually limited Apex in the application to do it. Even if we have to do it in-house, it would limit like based on the heap size something. So it will actually limit. So I mean, even if we have to do in-house, we'll have to borrow the external libraries, JS libraries, to compress the file and zip it and download it to locally, right? So now with this new feature from the Apex itself, we'll be able to compress the file, but still that heap size limit is mentioned in the official documentation. We'll have to see which library they're exactly using and then how much size this compression actually takes. We'll have to take a look. And then next we have the dynamic formulas in Apex. So dynamic formulas, give me a second. Okay, so I don't have pretty much idea on this one. We'll have to explore dynamic formula, but the use case I found is was limited, very limited. Anyone has used this dynamic formula can actually give us some insights on that. So right after this session, that will be helpful. Next, we have changes to concurrent long running Apex request. So for this one, previously, like, organizations were actually limited to 10 transactions. So 10 concurrent Apex requests that were running, which were actually taking more than 5 seconds, right? So now it has been improved based on the org licenses. So let's say org has somewhere like 4,000 license. It's mentioned that this transaction limit will be upgraded to 40, right? So it actually depends on the license. So minimum is 10, which is currently there. And based on the licenses, it will be updated up to maximum of 50. And then now we also have the feature pause and resume scheduled jobs in the Apex. We can use the methods like pause by job name or ID, or even resume job name or it's by ID. So we can actually do it in the Apex itself. And then JSON serialization for exception types. So this has been changed. Give me a minute. So Apex actually no longer supports the JSON serialization for the custom exception types and even most built-in exceptions. So that is what it has been given in the documentation. We'll have to see But whichever the features that is actually getting retired, we'll have to give a closer look on all the components that we already use and wherever it's been referred, right? We'll have to update it. So in the release, whenever the Salesforce releases comes, there will be new feature get add on, and there will be features that actually be downgraded or upgraded. So whichever that is actually getting retired, right? We need to see their impact. So maybe it can be like APIs, certain versions actually getting retired, and even certain methods in the LWC getting retired. So we always keep an eye on this one, these release notes. So right now, this is the update on the feature that is getting downgraded. So next on, enforce reparenting restrictions for master data relationship in Apex. This is also currently there, but it is mentioned now it is strictly enforced. Okay, so maybe before it was not strictly enforced. Right now it is strictly enforced. So that's the only thing. Next on code analyzer. So right now code analyzer in the latest release version 5 has been in the implementation. So that is also currently in beta. So code analyzer, it's actually, it is used for the static code analysis. Okay. So basically it refers to the examining Salesforce Apex code without actually running it. So whoever use the code analyzer might know in the Apex VS Code how efficiently it will give the recommendation to follow the best practices and wherever it might cause the issues. So these things are all helpful. So when I didn't explore on the code analyzer, please give a thought. The running system behind this is actually PMD, which is programmatic mistake detector. It actually detects, wherever the best practices are not followed, and even if we have violated something, right? Security vulnerabilities, and so through this, performance can be improved. That is the main purpose of this code analyzer. So right now, whatever the course that we are doing, mostly we will be not running this code analyzer, but when we are packaging the Apex Sense packet, it is actually strictly we have to must comply with this tool results. So whatever the report that it actually gives, right, we will need to submit it. So that means we will have to comply with all the standards this code analyzer gives to us. So next on, so pretty much big feature we are all waiting for from long time, and we couldn't find a workaround also, and the workarounds didn't work at most of the time, is that local development of the LWC component, right? So we can actually, so Salesforce mentions that even if we don't save, deploy the code to the org, and even without refreshing the page as well, we can, the changes that we made in the locally, so VS Code, that actually gets in the org. Okay, so I tried in my VS Code, but the npm version was not supporting, even the upgrading was causing some errors. But I just got a quick demo video where it shows exactly how it works. Please have a reward this recording. So right now they in their page they have the LWC component right here. So they will be making some change through the without local development enabled and with local development enabled. How much time it will going to take? Okay. So this is the story of this quick demo here. So right now they're considering this particular component here. So they have the code to the right. So there's a timer running, which is like currently, if you don't have the local dev enabled, this is how it will take time. So right now we'll have to refresh the page to actually see the changes, right? So it's actually time consuming one. So with the local development enabled, so first of all, we need to run this command, SF Lightning dev app. So what it does is it actually creates a local copy of the cloud version, right? The same org, it's actually loaded onto the cloud and it's not completely local, but it is using the WebSocket to run locally. So they are making the change again. So they change the brand, and without any deployment or refreshing the page, the change is actually visible here. So this is actually a big improvement. It actually reduces the development time. And even you can see the time it actually took it done in 4 seconds. Previously, it took somewhere like 16 seconds. But the thing is, this is actually available only in the sandbox org. So in the sandbox org, we'll have to enable local dev and then use it. So we can't experiment this in our DevOps. Currently, it's available only in the sandbox org. But this is the major release actually, which helps all the developers. And we can also see on the Lightning design system, which I was previously mentioning. So Salesforce Lightning design system. First, let's understand why do we need to even transition to local STLS2, right? So because the current version, it's actually working fine. Why exactly we need to use it? So let's have a quick look into the official site here. So Salesforce mentions that SLDS2 delivers a modern UI. Okay, and as shown, major UI easier to scan and complete the task in. So this will have to get the use, how the experience from the users itself, because mostly they will be using this UI. So we need to get the update from them. And then the most important thing is that when we are moving to SDL2, it ensures future-proof and take advantage of next generation UX. So whichever release comes next, it actually, cleanly updated onto this SLDS2. And then it also mentioned that improves code maintainability by using styling modes, so which are more flexible than the design tokens, which are right now we are using, right? So next we'll have to see how we need to make a transition. So right now it's actually available in the themes and branding. So there's a theme called the Salesforce Cosmos, which is SLDS2. So which we can directly go and activate right away. The option is available. But before that, there are certain things that we need to consider. So here you can see we are in preview mode. The way I just showed earlier, it's the same thing. So there are certain things before we make a transaction, we'll have to take care. One is that we need to thoroughly check the transition in the test environment first. So first we need to set up, enable SLDS2 in a sandbox environment and then see how it behaves. All the components, LWC components are running properly. If there's an issue, we'll have to take it up and fix it. Okay. So for the fixing the things that won't work, there's actually a tool that Salesforce provides. It's a SLDS validator. Okay. So this SLDS validator, it actually scans the markup. Okay. And then it validates it against the database of guidelines. So basically it scans against the PMD tool, PMD guidelines, which I just previously mentioned, right? It scans against that and then it will give the recommendation for us. So based on that, we'll have to update all the changes and then do the thorough testing. Then only we have to roll out. So these steps we need to ensure before transitioning to the SLDS2. But we have to transition, as it mentioned here. It supports all the future proof and take advantage, right? So right now, maybe we don't know when the SLDS1 can get it right, or maybe it can remain the same way we have the Salesforce Classic till now, right? So even though SLDS1 came in 2015, so the Classic still there from 2000. So I don't think the retirement will happen sooner. But if we want to have all the features, all the UX capabilities that are releasing as and when, we need to make this transition. So this is what. So we need to validate the SLDS, and also it was mentioned like the internal DOM structure is getting changed for the LWC and Aura. Okay. So when and all impact is there, we'll have to go thoroughly check on this one as well. And the update on the API is that right now I think already we have transitioned to my domain. Previously we were using this one instance name, right? Like NA24, NA156.salesforce.com. We were using that instance name previously. Maybe like before transitioning to the Lightning, the companies we were using the Salesforce, they were actually familiar with these URLs. So now Salesforce is going to retire that one. Okay. So wherever the APIs that we are using exactly this instance name, right, we will have to update it to the my domain. So we actually done this for most of the clients, but still if any references are still available, we will have to make a transaction. Otherwise, the request won't happen. And another update is that the API version from 21 to 30 is going to retire. Again, for that, we'll have to find the references, which are the components is having this version. Then we'll have to upgrade it. Okay. So one other major tool that we got along LWC, we got local dive. Another one major tool that we got now is the Apex Guru. So right now I didn't get a chance to explore on this one because it's not available in our DevOps. It's basically available in the Salesforce Scale Center. So I'll have to see what exactly this one, but there's a lot of things happening in Scale Center as well. So basically this Apex Guru, it actually, the features of his Apex Guru is that code recommendation priorities it has critical, major, and minor. So based on the expected impact, right? So Apex Guru, it's actually utilizing the AI in the background to see how the code quality and then which and all impacts has been there, right? So majorly we will see the performance issue from the Apex code itself because that is what impacts the CPU time resource consumption, right? So if we can improve the performance there through this tool, like wherever it is been highlighted or recommended, it's actually benefits us. So right now, this somewhere it was mentioned this tool is actually a free add-on to the Salesforce Scale Center, and also it is available only in the unlimited. But we still have to explore on this. But if you just see from the screenshot, it actually gives more insights on our code quality and where it can be efficiently used. All these things, right? Because as I mentioned, like the execution actually impacts the performance. So the more time it takes for a code to run, it actually hinders the performance. So one example I just got from here, this will just pull up. Yeah, so this particular code we actually usually use always, right, to determine the schema of the object, maybe by the record ID or by just by the name of that object. So if you want to retrieve all the schema of that object, we'll be usually using this method, right? Get global describe, and then we'll just pass the object name here. Okay, so I didn't know till now this is actually causes the performance issue. So the updated, so it's mentioned that proposed amendment actually given by the Apex Guru only. So it clearly says like the implementation there's a difference. So if these kind of recommendations, if we can clearly get where we can improve, it will be much helpful, and even we'll also get to know how this performance actually getting impacted. And somewhere it was actually mentioned, search for the performance, somewhere it was actually mentioned which methods will also take more time and that will be returned. So it is actually pretty good. So next on to the analytics, we have minor updates like user can actually choose which widget in the dashboard can refresh. So right now, if we want to refresh the certain widget, certain report in the dashboard, right? We'll have to refresh entire dashboard there, not entire page, but the entire dashboard. So now it has been like updated to so that only we can refresh only this particular report widget, right? But again, like this we have to see where it should not cause any confusion to the user, because some other reports might shows different time, date and time, and the refreshed one might show different one. So this should not cause any impact to the users when they're switching tabs. Like again, when they come back, they should not see this difference. But anyways, this will be actually helpful when we are actually using in our project management. So if I have to refresh certain widget data, so I'll have to go and actually refresh the entire dashboard. So which is really helpful now. So another feature is that from the reports, the subscription email is actually currently going from the user who has scheduled it. So now we have the update where you can use the Orbit email address. So we can use a standard Orbit email address to send all these report emails to the user instead of sending it from the scheduled user. So we also have enhanced report type layout. This is just a report type layout, just a way we can improve the clicks or easily get to know where exactly the things are there. So just a UI cosmetic changes has been done. So moving on to the Sales Cloud features. So now, teams can actually coordinate like the sales action. So sales action plus actually allow to assign specific tasks and events to the sales team members. Okay. So that so if when we assign this task to them, they can actually align to doing those activities right on time, right? And then so this is basically admin can do, not without the code. Admin can actually do this through the sales action plan. And then these plans can be actually linked to accounts, contacts, opportunities, and even the custom objects as well. And then we have one feature that is getting retired, that is Salesforce for Outlook. Is being retired in December 2027. So there's a retirement update here. Right now, Salesforce is actually focusing on implementing the latest Microsoft Outlook. Both are same. The Outlook remains same. Whenever there's an enhancement from the Microsoft as well, right? So these plugins won't work to remain updated with the latest features or the products. So that's why the Salesforce for Outlook, which is currently being we actually implemented. So that is going to be retired in December 2027. And we also have another feature that is getting, retiring. So currently, so this feature has been retiring because like to create more detailed profiles for the contacts. So right from the instant activity capture, we can actually get the contact details and then create the contact in the record. But through the updated version now, right? This version is getting retired. There will be another alternative, which they tell they are actually improvising instant activity capture in creating these contacts. Okay, so they offers more capabilities, something like that. So once Einstein automated contacts is actually retired, so Salesforce will no longer suggest new contacts or opportunity contact roles, and users will lose access to the related suggestions. So we'll have to check the instant activity capture. Now, wherever this context creation is enabled, we have to upgrade it. And onto the Service Cloud. So majorly, I think the Service Cloud is driven by the Agent 4 itself. So now that we'll be actually getting real-time oversight of AI-driven interactions, and then even share contacts with Agent Force service agents. So we'll have to come up with the use case where we can actually implement this to get to know these things better, right? And then onto the Einstein work summary. So this is something which will be helpful. So on the security side, right? Now we can actually log in with our email to actually multiple orgs. I mean, which is currently we are also doing. But the difference is that we'll actually log into the email. Once we log in, we'll actually verify. And then here we'll be actually prompted with all the environments that our email is linked with. Okay, so we can actually choose. So this applies when we log in from the login.salesforce.com, right? So this actually doesn't know the password. We'll have to see if it is redirected through SSO or not. And then so brand, so the welcome email that we are sending to all the users, which will actually customize the brands. Password reset links, which is currently stays up to 24 hours, which is now also 24 hours. But the difference is that once the link is clicked, even the user is not resetting the password, that link will actually get expired. Okay, so the second time when we go and click on the link, that link won't be usable. So this was actually helpful. So we'll have to implement this new branding, and then we can inform the. We don't have to inform, but it works. It works the way it has to be done, right? And then on the mobile side, so now users send the attachments in the messaging. Yeah. So this is the major updates in this release. There are also other release features as well. So I recommend going through official documents for each of the products and then have a thorough look. But before enabling anything on the client org, please ensure it has been thoroughly tested in the test environments and then go ahead with enabling the feature. So that's all I got for this session. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you for your time.